Everyone, our lesson today is going to be about idioms. Idioms are words or phrases which mean something different from its literal meaning. An idiom example is, it's raining cats and dogs. The literal meaning is that cats and dogs are falling from the sky, but what we're really trying to say is that it's raining hard. People use phrases like idioms to add meaning to what they're saying or add emphasis. We'll do some examples and practice now. Here's our first idiom. Jack opened a can of worms when he read his sister's diary. This is the idiom that we see, and the meaning of this idiom is when you try to solve a problem or answer a question, but you only create more problems and more questions. So when somebody says you just opened up a can of worms, they mean, man, you just opened up a world of trouble. They do not mean that you literally went to the pantry and opened up a can of worms. This next idiom says, the old lady walked at a snail's pace. What do you think that this one could mean? Do you think she really walked like a snail on the ground and slime came out of her shoes as she was going? Probably not. The meaning is that she's moving or doing something very slowly because a snail moves slowly. That's why the phrase came about. So when people say, oh man, you're moving at a snail's pace, they mean you're going very slow. Here is our third idiom example. It says, I know you don't like chocolate, but don't look a gift horse in the mouth. Just be grateful that you got a gift on Valentine's Day. So this is another example of an idiom. It's not a literal meaning. Idioms do not mean exactly what they say. So there's no actual horse for you to look inside of its mouth. What this idiom really means is don't find fault with something that you have discovered or been given. So if somebody gives you a gift, you need to be thankful no matter what, right? Like if your great grandma gives you a whole big pack of socks, yay, you still got a gift, right? You have to be positive. That's what that means. Our next example says, Mrs. Jones pulled a rabbit out of the hat when she found a sponsor willing to pay for a field trip. Now, Mrs. Jones is not doing magic in class, believe it or not. The literal meaning is not that she pulled a rabbit out of a hat. Instead, what they mean is that doing something unexpected to solve a problem. So she's kind of doing something magic because it's something that people didn't expect to happen. It was a really great solution to a problem. That's what that means when you say someone pulled a rabbit out of the hat. They did something really great that nobody expected. Now we're going to do some practice as we go. To keep it more fun, we're going to do practice all along the way as we learn more about idioms. So go ahead and pull out a pencil and paper so that you can practice along with me. Our first one that we're going to be talking about is opening a can of worms. Which one of these is the answer to the meaning for open a can of worms? Does that mean A, an unpleasant smell, B, a situation that causes a lot of problems, or C, to do something slowly? The answer should be B, a situation that causes a lot of problems. If you got that correct, good job, Air 5. Here's our next idiom example. This idiom says, I walked into our new school library and felt like a kid in a candy store. Now, this meaning does not literally mean that suddenly you're in a candy store. What it does mean is that you're feeling very happy and doing what you want without restricting your behavior. So kids in a candy store would go wild like this guy and they would eat everything in sight, right? So if you feel like a kid in this candy store, you feel so happy that you just want to run around and have a ton of fun. Our next one says, Ben felt like a fish out of water at his younger sister's birthday party. This doesn't really mean that suddenly he grew fins and he's a fish. The meaning of this is that he's feeling very uncomfortable. He probably doesn't play a lot with her friends, so at her birthday party, he feels a little bit left out or uncomfortable. That's the meaning of fish out of water. You could say, I felt like a fish out of water on my first day of school because I didn't know anyone in the class. Our next idiom example says, I hit the nail on the head when I guessed Tim and Nina were getting married. So this means you're not doing construction work. This means that you got the answer correct. Our meaning is when you are right about something. You could say, I hit the nail on the head when I got an A+ on my test. I got all of the answers right. Finding a sharp pencil in a classroom is like looking for a needle in a haystack. Ain't that the truth? So this is not really saying that we're going searching for a needle. The meaning is you're trying to do the impossible, right? How often do we have freshly sharpened pencils in the classroom? Not often. I want to retire next year and live on an island. It's time to get out of the rat race for good. So if you say get out of the rat race, you're not really in a race and you're not really a rat. It means you want to leave your job or your way of life. So if you want to get out of the rat race, maybe you want to change from a teacher into a retired person who's living the dream. That would be a changing your way of life, getting out of the rat race. Now it's time for our next idiom practice. Please get out your piece of paper and pencil. Like a fish out of water is an idiom that we practice. What is its figurative meaning? Is it A, really hungry, B, feeling tired, or C, feeling uncomfortable? Which one of these is the meaning for the idiom, like a fish out of water? Your answer should be C, feeling uncomfortable. If you got that correct, good job. Here's our next idiom. This is one we haven't seen yet. Rosie cried crocodile tears after her teacher caught her cheating on the test. To cry crocodile tears means that she's crying, but it's not genuine or sincere. So she's kind of faking it. If you cry crocodile tears, you're crying fake tears to get out of trouble. So if you broke your mom's vase and then you're like, oh, I'm sorry, but in your mind you're thinking it was ugly anyway, then you're crying crocodile tears. All right, the next idiom that we're going to look at is don't trust strangers on the internet. Most of them are wolves in sheep's clothing. This idiom doesn't mean that all the people that are on the internet are wolves, like the big bad wolf. What it means is that somebody that seems to be good but isn't good at all. So sometimes people appear to be friendly or nice, but they really aren't. This applies to real life and to the internet, right? On the internet, you can't trust a stranger. In the real world, you can't trust a stranger either. So someone that looks good might be bad. That's what the idiom wolf in sheep's clothing means. Our next idiom says, Wendy got full marks for the test. She is one smart cookie. Now, she really isn't a cookie. What does this mean, that she's a smart cookie? This is an idiom that we use. The real meaning is that she's very clever or very smart. If you say smart cookie, she's not really made of chocolate chips, but she is very clever and very smart. Our next idiom says, Dan was on cloud 9 when he got a drone for his birthday. If he's on cloud 9, he didn't grow wings and start flying, and he's not up in the clouds, but it does mean that he's extremely happy about what he got. So being on cloud 9 means that you're very, very happy. Tim was her youngest son. He was the apple of her eye. This is an idiom that you would use if you're talking about a mom and her son or daughter. The apple of her eye means it's her favorite or the one that she is the most proud of. So you might say, I'm the apple of my mom's eye because she likes me the best. But your brother or sister would probably say the same thing too. Now it's time for some more practice. We're going to be reviewing what does it mean to cry crocodile tears. This is an idiom. What is the figurative meaning? Is it A, fake tears or emotion? B, when you are honestly sad? Or C, when you study hard? What does it mean to cry crocodile tears? The answer you should have chosen is A, fake tears. If you cry crocodile tears, you're faking crying. Our next example says, Mia looked like $1,000,000 in her new blue dress. Now, somebody doesn't really look like money. The dress isn't green, right? But the meaning of this is that she looked amazing. If you look like $1,000,000 or like $1,000,000, it just means that you look amazing. Yes, we made a mistake, but there's no point in crying over spilled milk. This phrase usually doesn't mean that you did spill milk. Sometimes you do, but the literal meaning of this is that Don't regret something that has already happened or cannot be changed. So don't sweat the small stuff, right? Can't cry over spilled milk because it's already spilled. You got to get over it and move on. That's the meaning of that phrase. Our next idiom says, Tony did not want to speak about his past. There were too many skeletons in his closet. Now, it'd be pretty scary if this Tony guy had real skeletons in his closet. He doesn't. Instead, what it means is that he has a lot of secrets. Okay, if you have too many skeletons in the closet, this idiom means that you have a lot of secrets that no one else knows. Our next phrase is Mandy still watching television? She's a real couch potato. I imagine that a lot of us are couch potatoes right now. The meaning is not that we are a spud. The meaning is that someone who watches a lot of television and isn't very active. So instead of being outside and playing in nature, you're sitting there watching Netflix. That means you're a couch potato. Here we go, another practice. This practice says, cry over spilt milk. What is the meaning of this? What's our figurative meaning? Is it A, to be very tired, B, to regret something that can't be changed, or C, being polite? Which one of these is our answer for the idiom, cry over spilt milk? Your answer should be to regret something that can't be changed. Once the milk is spilled, that's it. You can't have it. You can't scoop it back up into the glass, so don't cry over something that you can't change. Our next idiom says, you left Andy in charge of the Halloween candy? That's like letting the fox guard the hen house. So this meaning isn't that you have a fox and that it's guarding your hen house at home. This means that you can't be trusted. So this Andy guy really likes candy. You can't trust him to keep the candy and not eat it all, right? So if I said, oh man, I'm going to go to the bathroom, I'm going to have one of you be in charge. If it's a kid that can't be trusted to make good choices, then that's like letting the fox guard the hen house. Our school is only a stone's throw away from our new house. This idiom, a stone's throw away, means that it's a short distance. It doesn't really mean that you're going to throw a rock at the school. I hope not. It just means that a stone's throw away, it's so close you could almost throw a stone and reach the school. Mom and I had a disagreement about my allowance. We don't always see eye to eye about money. Our idiom, see eye to eye, means that we don't always agree. It doesn't mean that you're staring at your mom right into her eye. It means that we don't always get along or agree about things. Pam and Ben decided it would be best to let sleeping dogs lie and not discuss the matter any further. The idiom, let sleeping dogs lie, does not have anything to do with puppies, even though they're cute. What it means is to leave disagreements in the past, to get over it and move on. That's what it means to let sleeping dogs lie. If you have a fight with your friend, you can both decide, let's just let sleeping dogs lie and move on because we love each other. That's what that idiom means. Our next one says, start learning today for Friday's test. The early bird catches the worm. This phrase might be one that you've heard before. It doesn't really have to do with a bird. The meaning of the early bird gets the worm is that you'll have an advantage if you do something immediately or if you do it in advance, right? If you study way before the test, then you'll have more time and you'll be ready, more ready than the other people. That's what that idiom means. Now it's time for another practice. Can you remember what that idiom, let sleeping dogs lie, means? Is it A, every Monday, B, when it rains, or C, leave disagreements in the past? Which one of those is a meaning for our idiom, let sleeping dogs lie? Your answer should be C, leave the disagreements in the past. The past is the past, let's move on. Our next idiom says, you'll clean your room when pigs fly. I don't know about you, but I've never seen bacon fly away. So I think that the literal meaning has nothing to do with pigs and everything to do with things being possible. So the meaning of when pigs fly is just that you don't think it's ever going to happen. You could use this phrase if you're saying, oh man, I'm going to stop liking this video game when pigs fly. That means you'll probably never stop liking it. All the players must attend every football practice. A team is only as strong as its weakest link. Only as strong as its weakest link is not really about this chain. We say this phrase because if there's a chain and it's got one bad link in it, then the chain would fall apart. That's kind of what the meaning is for the figurative meaning. It says a group or organization is only as strong as the weakest or the lowest performing person. So if one person isn't doing a good job, we all would suffer. We kind of see that in our classroom too. If one person isn't doing their job, everyone else might get in trouble because we all have to be a team and work together. Our next idiom says, where can I buy affordable new shoes? I don't want to break the bank. This isn't about your piggy bank. The real meaning is that you don't want to spend more money on something than you normally would. You don't want to spend a lot of your money. My brother got into trouble at school for the second time this week. He really is the black sheep of the family. If you say that someone is a black sheep, it doesn't really have anything to do with sheep. It just means that you're the family member who is the most often in trouble, or the one that doesn't fit in. Our next idiom says, you need to eat more fruit. Remember, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. This is a phrase that people used to say, eating nutritious food will make you healthier. The better that you eat, the less you'll have to spend in the doctor, right? So it's good to be healthy. That's what this idiom is all about. Now let's do some practice. Can you remember the meaning for our idiom when pigs fly? Does it mean A, every Monday, B, when it rains, or C, probably never? Your answer should be probably never. This idiom just means it's not going to happen. It's not likely because pigs don't often fly, do they? Our next set says, Harry let the cat out of the bag and told Mrs. Nelson who broke the window. If you let the cat out of the bag, you don't have a literal group of cats stuck in a bag. The meaning is you reveal a secret by mistake. You give away a secret that you were supposed to keep. Fiona's friends love singing and dancing. It's true, birds of a feather flock together. This meaning is just people with the same tastes and interests will be found together. That's like if you love Frisbee, you and all your friends play Frisbee together, that's something you have in common. So you all spend time together doing that fun activity. Our next idiom says, Tina got a taste of her own medicine. This girl refused to play with her because she wouldn't play with them yesterday. To get a taste of your own medicine means to treat someone in the same bad way that they treated you. So if someone treats you poorly and you do it back to them, that's giving them a taste of their own medicine, but that isn't always nice. Our next idiom says, our new neighbor went to school with my dad. It's such a small world. This is a phrase that means, instead of the world being tiny, it means to show surprise that people or events or different places are connected. So even though we have a huge world, we're all connected. That's what that phrase, it's a small world, really means. Don't forget your umbrella. It's raining cats and dogs. The meaning of this is that it's raining really hard. It's not really raining animals outside. It's just raining a lot. Let's do a practice. Let the cat out of the bag. Does to let the cat out of the bag mean A, to reveal a secret by mistake, B, to go crazy, or C, to spend all your money? The answer should be A, to reveal a secret by mistake. If you let the cat out of the bag, you let a secret slip out. Uh-oh. Old pictures help me understand history. A picture's worth 1,000 words. This phrase means that a picture is worth more than 1,000 words. The literal meaning is that it's often easier to show something in a picture than to describe it with words, right? Some people see better with their eyes than they do from hearing about something. Our next idiom says, Taylor thinks adding fractions is a piece of cake. That means that she thinks it's really easy. See how fast you are getting better at writing cursive? Practice makes perfect. This phrase means that the harder you try, the better you do. So to keep repeating something over and over so that one can get good at that activity. The more you practice, the better you'll do. When the boy knocked his pencils off the table, his teacher said that he was like a bull in a china shop. This phrase, like a bull in a china shop, means that he's very clumsy, often like a bull in a china shop. Ben was in the doghouse because he broke a window. In the doghouse doesn't mean he has to sleep outside. It really means that people are annoyed or angry with you because you did something bad. Here's our last practice problem. A piece of cake. Can you remember what this idiom, a piece of cake, means? Does that mean A, it's really easy, B, it's something complicated, or C, it's something precious? Your answer should be A, really easy. It's something that's simple to do. Let's review what idioms are, and then we'll be finished with our lesson. An idiom is a phrase that means something different than what they say. So, an example of this is it's raining cats and dogs. This phrase just means it's raining a lot. It has nothing to do with cats or dogs. It's just a phrase that people say to let you know that it's raining a lot outside. An idiom is a common phrase or expression that means something other than the literal meaning of the words. For example, she was feeling blue. It doesn't mean that she is suddenly a Smurf. It just means that she was feeling sad, right? People say they're feeling blue to mean that they're feeling sad. I hope that you learned a lot about different types of idioms and that you can apply that to the practice. Thanks for learning along with me.